greedily. After finishing it, he casually tossed the empty bottle into a broken pot nearby. The next second, hundreds of identical bottles of water appeared in the pot. Tony realized that the broken pot his father left him was a magical
Okay,
treasure. With
so
this treasure, he could
first
survive
place
the upcoming
is
apocalypse.
here a
Many
lot
months
of
later,
places in a
he used all
row.
his money to buy
I
a gold
got
mine.
first place,
And
39 points. Then another second
he was
place.
dancing with
Oh
joy.
no no
He
no
noticed
no
all the
no
gold
no
bars had
no
identical strings.
no.
It would definitely raise suspicion, but he had an idea. He melted all the gold bars into one big lump, then took it to a jewelry store to sell. The store owner was stunned and speechless. She had never seen such a large piece of gold in her life. She immediately transferred $5 million to Tony's account. As he was about to go home and continue his business, he ran into his ex-girlfriend. She saw the gold and her eyes lit up. She started sweet-talking him and acting concerned, even though she used to ignore him completely. Tony looked at her with disgust and put the gold away. Suddenly, the CEO appeared. He congratulated Tony on his success, then suggested they celebrate with a meal to get his revenge. Tony agreed without hesitation, but the CEO invited a group of classmates to the dinner and made sure they ordered the most expensive food and drinks. It was clear they wanted Tony to pay. Tony didn't stop them. He let everyone eat and drink to their heart's content. When the waiter brought the $18,000 bill, everyone thought Tony would foot the bill, but Tony said whoever ordered the food should pay for it. The CEO secretly turned off his phone and claimed it was dead. He asked Tony to pay first and promised to pay him back later, but Tony wasn't falling for it. He asked the waiter to bring a power bank. The CEO was embarrassed because he only had $10 and couldn't afford the bill. He had to beg Tony quietly for help. Tony loudly mocked him for pretending to be rich while being broke, then walked away without hesitation. The next day was the eve of the apocalypse. Guys, suddenly home. Tony was at home eating hot pot and singing, but outside the window, his neighbors had frozen to death. His girlfriend tried to use her gun and slowly to open the door. Unexpectedly, Tony was rather dump the hot pot and share it with them. The CEO got so angry, he grabbed a sledgehammer and smashed it at the glass. What he didn't know was, the glass in Tony's house was made of special material. Even a missile couldn't break through it. Seeing that the window wasn't rigged, the CEO picked up a chainsaw. He tried to cut through Tony's front door, but after stalling for hours, he couldn't leave a single mark on it. It turned out Tony's door was made of armor-grade material, like a bank vault. Ordinary methods couldn't open it at all. The reason Tony spent a fortune making his house destructible was that the world was experiencing an unprecedented extreme cold apocalypse. 99% of humanity had already died in this disaster. People were killing each other in his past life. Tony risked his life to catch a big fish for his girlfriend. He thought she would reward him with a warm hug, but what he got was a cold one. It turned out his girlfriend had already teamed up with the CEO, and they not only took his fish, but threw him into the minus 200-degree snow, freezing him to death. Before he died, Tony swore if he had another chance at life, he would make those two pay in blood. Maybe God heard his wish, because Tony was reborn 3 days before the apocalypse. When he came back to life and saw a bottle of water on the table, he drank it greedily. He casually tossed the empty bottle into a broken pot nearby. The next second, hundreds of identical bottles of water appeared in the pot. Tony realized that the broken pot his father left was a magic ingredient. He could survive in suffering properly and make those who wronged him pay. He quickly used all his money to buy a gold bar. Then he placed the gold bar in the pot and prayed. Soon, endless gold bars started appearing in the pot, just as he was dancing with joy. He noticed all the gold bars had identical filling in them. If he sold them, it would definitely raise suspicion. So he had an idea. He melted all the gold bars into one big lump, then took it to a jewelry store to sell. The store owner was stunned and speechless. He had never seen such a large piece of gold in his life. He immediately transferred $5 million to Tony's account. As he was about to go home and continue, he ran into his ex-girlfriend. He saw the gold in her eyes. He thought he was acting concerned. Even though she had to ignore him completely, Tony looked at her with disgust and put the gold away. Suddenly, the CEO appeared. He congratulated Tony on his success, then suggested they celebrate with a meal to get his revenge. Tony agreed without hesitation, but the CEO invited a group of classmates to the dinner and made sure they ordered the most expensive food and drinks. It was clear they wanted Tony to pay. Tony didn't stop. He let everyone eat and drink to their heart's content. When the waiter brought the bill and $000 bill, everyone thought Tony would foot the bill, but Tony said whoever ordered the food should pay for it. The CEO secretly turned off his phone and claimed it was dead. He asked Tony to pay first and promised to pay him back later, but Tony wasn't falling for it. He asked the waiter to bring a power bank. The CEO was embarrassed because he only had $10 and couldn't afford the bill. He had to beg Tony quietly for help. Tony loudly mocked him for pretending to be rich while being broke, then walked away without hesitation. The next day was the eve of the apocalypse. The clear sky suddenly turned cold. Tony was at home leisurely eating hot pot and singing, but outside the window, his neighbors had frozen to death. His girlfriend tried to use her charm to convince Tony to open the door. Unexpectedly, Tony would rather dump the hot pot than share it with them. The CEO was embarrassed because he only had $10 and couldn't afford the bill. He had to beg Tony quietly for help. Tony loudly mocked him for pretending to be rich while being broke, then walked away without hesitation. The next day was the eve of the apocalypse. The clear sky suddenly turned cold. Tony was at home leisurely eating hot pot and singing, but outside the
Girl is checking her bag and suddenly the taxi starts moving and the baby seat falls down. She shouts, "My baby, my baby." Just then, her husband arrives and says, "Calm down, my love. Here is our baby." The husband says, "Love, look, that girl is being kidnapped." The wife says, "We have to help her." Just then, a man says, "Stop him," and he falls. The husband asks, "Are you okay? Stop him. Here, take my car and go stop him." "Okay." A little while later, the wife says, "This is the same car. I'll distract him and you go help the girl." The woman goes and slaps the car's bonnet and says, "Get out." The driver says, "Who is this woman?" The kidnapper says, "I don't know, but she can ruin our plan. Let's get out." The woman tells the driver, "I had kept my baby's seat in the car and you tried to take it away. I'll file a report against you." Just then, the husband opens the trunk of the car and hides inside. The driver says, "No, let's settle this matter peacefully." The woman says, Okay, get out of here, you crazy people." And she leaves. Meanwhile, the husband messages his wife, "I'm in the trunk. We have to help the girl. I'll keep sending you my location." The woman comes back to the man. He asks, "What happened?" She says, "My husband tried to get her out but couldn't, but he sent me this voice message. But it's an audio. What do we do with this?" She says, "He sent me the location too. Let's go there and think about what to do next." "All right, let's go." "Oh no, it had to shut down now. What do I do?" The husband notices the paint. He opens the trunk and starts dropping the paint. The wife and the man arrive at the location. The man says, "I don't see anyone here." The woman says, "Yeah, but the location leads only up to here. Why are you so worried? Who is that girl?" The man replies, "She's my daughter." Suddenly, the woman notices the road and says, "Look, my husband is smart. He knew I'd understand, so he left these marks. Let's follow the trail." "All right, as you say." After some time, we're safer here. Just then, the husband arrives and punches the kidnapper's accomplice and says, "Let the girl go. The police are coming." The kidnapper says, "But who are you?" The husband says, "You kidnapped this girl." The kidnapper replies, "I don't understand what you're saying." The girl wakes up and says, "My love, are you okay? I was so scared. If you hadn't come, who knows what would have happened to me." The husband says, "I don't understand what's going on, but are you okay?" "Yes, my boyfriend saved me." The husband says, "But he kidnapped you." The woman says, "No, someone was trying to take me by force, but my boyfriend saved me." Then I don't know what happened after that. "How is this possible? I left my wife and baby with that man thinking he was good, and now he's coming here because I gave him the location." The girl says, "My love, that man is very dangerous. We have to get out of here." The husband says, "No, no one is going anywhere. My wife and baby are with him. I have a plan. I just need your help." Just then, the wife and the man arrive. The wife says, "Oh, my husband, hold my baby." And she runs to the husband. The husband says, "This man is bad." Just then, the man returns and says, "Where is my daughter?" The husband says, "She's inside sleeping." The man says, "And where are those people?" The husband replies, "Everything is under control. Relax, they're tied up." The husband says, "We helped you as you asked. Now please return our baby." "All right, I hope my daughter is okay." He gives them the baby and goes inside. The man goes to the girl and says, "Hello, my love. Now it's just you and me." Suddenly, the boyfriend arrives with his friend and knocks the man unconscious. A little later, when the man regains consciousness, he says, "What is all that?" A police officer says, "We've been searching for you for a long time. Now you're under arrest for a very long time." If you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. A girl is checking her bag when suddenly the taxi starts moving and the girl is checking.